And Tony Abbott started out by talking about a dysfunctional government, and then, of course, with the pressure off, he has had time to refine his lines, and now he's putting it this way.
And now we've got leak and counter-leak from different people, different senior people inside the government. And I think what the Australian public are starting to sense is that senior members of this government don't think the government deserves to be re-elected.
That's quite an effective line, isn't it? That they don't deserve.
I think it's a really effective line, and I think the leaking is lethal because it's letting Tony Abbott get by pretty much unscrutinised. It's letting him script those lines and re-script them until they work very, very well. And there's got to be some truth to it. I mean, what is going on in the Labor Party, and what is the motivation of the people who are doing these leakers, and do they really not want the government to be re-elected? I mean, I think it's a perfectly valid point that he makes.
Well, Mark Gomere to help Latham also contributed during the week, of course, and he perhaps thought he was doing the right thing by the party that he once served by taking aim clearly at Kevin Rudd. Here he is.
It's the coward's way to get on the blow with Laurie Oakes and say, I'll tell you this, but you're not allowed to identify me. You know, it's the snake's way. I think it's unmanly and beneath a decent Aussie bloke to act this way, let alone an ex-Prime Minister.
You know, Barry, there's a great line of Oscar Wilde somewhere where he says, all criticism is autobiography. And there's Latham, just talking about Latham.
But he did put his name to the Latham Diaries. I mean, he authored them and he put his name to everything
he just sort of sees Rudd as another himself.
Well, David, you're a bit of a student of Kevin Rudd.
Yes.
And Lenore, you have been long enough in the gallery to know that there probably hasn't been a politician since Billy McMahon who was so addicted to the telephone and so addicted to gossiping to the press gallery about his colleagues in the most vicious and poisonous
He was known as Tiberius of the telephone, wasn't he?
Tiberius of the telephone. I think
on the Isle of
Whitlam called him that.
Yes. OK, well, look, let's have a look at when you average out the 5 major polls at the moment, and this is what you get. You have the ALP in front, 52-48, but what I would say of that is that the last 2 polls have had 50-50, and then the coalition in front, 52-48. So that's probably very much on the high side because the trend is running against Labor. But we will keep an eye on the poll of polls throughout the campaign. Laurie Oakes' role in this campaign is coming in for a lot of comment. On the one level, he's simply reporting leaks as he gets them, and who wouldn't. But then on the other hand, the suggestions that there's a fair bit of enthusiasm behind some of his reporting. Let's have a look at some of it.
It's a very, very bad start for her prime ministerial career. Silly and slippery and slimy and shifty and all that. I think she's done herself enormous damage. Honoured after the way he's been brutally chopped down and carved up by his former colleagues. When I asked Ms Gillard for a response, she provided this statement. And then came this little smear. If the Liberal Party have allegations to make, they should put their names to them. Well, PM, you know this information didn't come from the Liberals. You'll need to look a lot closer to home.
Now, should Labor strategists be worried about that?
Absolutely. And I think Lenore's correct, or David. They have to cauterise Kevin. And that maybe they should appoint...
Let's be careful about the image you choose.
No.
I mean, he's on the...
Send him to Norfolk Island, make him administrator, send him to inspect Antarctica, do a penguin count, get him out of the country, because whilst he's here, whilst he's in any public fora, he will be asked about the campaign.